Sharing his views at the inaugural ceremony, special guest of honor, spiritual guru and founder of the Anamay Vedic Ashram at Uttaranchal, SWAMI ASHUTOSH URS STROBEL ji highlighted the fact that religious activities including prayers, meditation and yogic flying can bring about world peace.
The effect is interestingly in the Yoga Sutras. There is a sutra which says, Ahimsa Pratishtanyam Tatsanidau Vairatyagya. So Tatsanidau means in the vicinity. Now Ahimsa Pratishtanyam does not mean not killing mosquitoes. It's not on that level. Ahimsa Pratishtanyam is on that level where we are completely in tune with all the laws of nature and not violating any laws of nature on that most refined level of consciousness. That means Ahimsa Pratishtanyam. Being established at that level, all crime in the vicinity. Tatsanidau means in the vicinity. Now this is the strange thing, but we will understand shortly why it is like that. That what we have seen. Now these people, we ask their urine sample to test in the serotonin level by measuring the 5-hydroxyethyl amino acid. But we saw that during the time the group was less in the vacation time when the students went home, where there were less than 1,600 people, the serotonin level dropped by 400%. So it is just amazing. They had no idea why we measured them on top of it. Now this is the research which blew everybody's mind. What we wanted to see is what is the effect on Lebanon if 200 people come and meditate and do yogic flying together in a hotel in Jerusalem West. Now unfortunately for Lebanon, but fortunately for scientific research, there were no 200 people coming for these 2 months, October and September, and we had a fluctuation from 82 to 234. And as you can see, the life quality fluctuated with the amount of people. When our people were many, the life quality was nice. When our people went down, the life quality went down. And we see the intensity scale of the war was exactly opposite. Whenever our people were many, that is the dotted line, then the war intensity was down, and when our people were less, then the war intensity was up. Now we thought we have to show this to the world. What is the use of scientific research without showing it to the world? So we went to the Yale University, there's a journal for conflict resolution, to Dr. Rosset, and when he saw this, he looked at our scientists and asked, are you out of your mind? Because he could not understand, and that was a problem which many people have, how in the world is this working? Where is the connection? What is actually happening? If we turn off on the light, we know there's somewhere a switch. Who does that? It's not any magic. Now, we know because there's a cable between the switch and the light. But where is the cable? What is the connection between a group doing something in a hotel, God knows what, with the reduction of war intensity or the improvement of the quality of life? Now, Dr. Rosset was not ready to publish it without further examination, and he asked his advisors what to do. 3 didn't even want to get bothered about it, but one said, teach them a lesson. They should go and make a research and correlate it with weather conditions or festivals and stuff like this. And we said, okay, but send one person from your team to do that with us. There was no correlation found. The only thing which was correlated was the activity of the yogic flyers in a hotel which was about 150 kilometers away from Beirut. Dr. Rosset eventually published it, but he made a remark saying that he was very astonished about it, and kind of an editorial. We all knew in the 70s and in the 60s and 70s the problem of China, so Maharishi decided to make an air conditioning effect on China, and he had groups all around China in all the different countries like Nepal, in Laos, in Thailand, in Hong Kong, in Japan, in Korea. And we know what eventually happened in China. The communist system, this is a picture. Maharishi himself went in 1974 teaching 27,000 Nepalese. So then Maharishi decided we have to have an effect, a global effect, because he was very much concerned about the Cold War and the possibility of Third World War, which he stopped single-handedly several times with all these groups. And that was one occasion which we found out later that during that time there was actually a plan of the USSR to attack because they had a misunderstanding from the aggressive speeches President Reagan gave. That was in the early 80s when President Reagan just was the President of the United States. These were 7,000 people assembled there in Fairfield. And that's what we see, what happened during those days. We see again the p-values are amazing, it is amazingly significant, and the effect of 7 assemblies we can see is huge. All these people in different groups in different months. There you see huge effect during those times, whenever this assemblies was in the world. Now you see the p-value is 19 zeros. This is not heard of in sociological or psychological research. This was a group in Washington where we said to the police chief, you will see the crime rate goes down. He laughed and went to the TV and said, we need 2 feet of snow that the crime rate in Washington goes down. And it was a July course. You see what happened. Our people came, crime rate went down as we predicted. We predicted 20%. It went down 23.3%. Next slide. So Maharishi was now really concerned to break the Berlin Wall, and he started to collect thousands of Vedic Pandits, met them in yogic flyers. That's why there's a picture here of Maharishi Nagar in Noida. And we made huge yagyas, which was financed by the German movement. And he said in 1987, he said to Dr. Röder, from now on, you can count the days until the Berlin Wall falls. In 1987, that was 2 years before it happened. That was always Maharishi's thing, yagyas and yogic flying in big groups, that will have the effect for the world. And that brought then in 1919 the end of the Cold War and the fall of... Now that was a project we did with the whole nation in Africa, in Mozambique. See, Mozambique was a complete turnaround. From 13 years of civil war, the president finally decided to initiate 16,000 soldiers into TM, and New York Times, 3 months after that event, headline, Mozambique, an African success story. It completely turned around. Here comes the president to Holland to thank Maharishi for this whole thing. And up to today, now he's not president anymore, but he is still speaking and promoting. In the Colombia, President Santos, when he got the Nobel Prize for Peace in 2016, he said it's all because of the activities of TM in his country, due to this Christian priest, Father Meja, who initiates all the street children which are in drugs and street crime. He collects them and teaches them, and that has completely transformed the country. Now I just want to explain you how it actually works. That is now the secret. In 1980, on the stage, there was Dr. B.D. Triguna, who was the most famous Vaidya at that time of the country, and he explained to us, and there was Maharishi on the stage also, he said, when we eat food, then we transform it into the 7 dhatus, Rasa, Rakta, Mamsa, Meda, Asti, Macha, Shukra. Finer than Shukra is Ojas, and finer than Ojas is Soma. Now, then Dr. Keith Wallace, he asked, but how can we measure it? Is this something seen? And then Maharishi started to speak. And that cleared everything. And that's why I said at the beginning, in a country where Saint Tukaram was so prevalent, who has demonstrated the fusion of the Adidevic with the Adibhautic. All these things we cannot understand without introducing the Adidevic. That means Maharishi explained the somras which we produce in our meditation, that flows to the devas and they get strengthened. He said the reason why the world is in such a chaos is because there is not enough production of soma. What Maharishi basically did his whole life, he was like a CEO running from one unit of soma factory around the world, where he had a few hundred people here and a few thousand people there, to make sure they produce enough soma so that Devata level is strengthened. And that's how world peace is getting established. This is what I found in the 9th mandala of the Rig Veda. Very beautifully explained directly. It says soma Lord of four regions, sprinkler of benefits, flow from Archika, effused by a truth-speaking, truthful man with faith and devotion, flow Indu for Indra. Satyena Shraddhaya Tapasya. This is the state one has to be inward. By that we fuse the Soma and the Devas get strengthened, and that will eventually transform the world.